everyone. Caroline Zamora, Chief Deputy County Clerk here, and today I'm joined by our Communications Coordinator, Cynthia Diaz, and also Jacob's behind camera. We are here to give you the last update, our last podcast update for our pre-primary election 2026. So lots of exciting information to start with today.
It came so quick.
I know. I feel
crazy.
like we've literally been preparing for months.
Yeah.
And now we're like 6 days out.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, we only got a few days. And so real quick, we're going to go through quite a few updates for you all. The first one I want to remind everyone about is early voting ends on Saturday, May 30th. Early voting will be at the Doña Ana County Government Center Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and on Saturday, May 30th, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Also, we have alternate early voting locations, which will be open Tuesday through Saturday, May 30th from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. And those are at Anthony Public Library, Corbett Center Student Union, Doña Ana Community College Chaparral, Doña Ana Community College East Mesa Campus, Doña Ana Community College Sunland Park, Hatch Valley Public School Student Service Center, Las Cruces City Hall, and Mesilla Town Hall. Now, again, we want to remind everyone, last day of early voting is May 30th. And so be sure to get your voting in by then.
That's right. The next thing we can talk about is absentee ballots. Those applications were due on May 19th, so it's too late to apply, unfortunately. But you still have time to turn it in. So it's too late to send it back into your mailbox.
Do not put it in the mail.
No,
it's
don't put
too
it there.
late. Don't put it in the mail.
But there's other options, right? So people can turn it into our office at 845 North Motel Boulevard. They can turn it into those 24/7 secured containers, or they can drop it off at any polling location as well.
Yes, and there are 9 of those secured containers throughout the county. And so if you want to get a full list of where those are, if you want to see where any of the locations are, just go to our website, dacelections.com/locations. Really easy to find. We have a really great interactive map there. So again, do not put your absentee ballot back in the mail. It's too late. Bring it to either one of our early voting locations here at our office or put it in the secured containers. And then also on election day, if you want to drop it off at any of our locations on election day, there are 42 locations on election day. And
you just go straight up to them and say, I have an absentee ballot. I want to turn in, and quick and easy.
Quick and easy.
Yeah, so.
Yep. Do not put it in the mail.
Sorry.
Okay, next thing we do want to go ahead and touch base on is write-in voting.
Yeah.
Because write-ins, we have several write-ins this year.
Yeah.
I know here specific to Doña Ana County, we have 3 statewide write-ins on the Republican ballot and 1 write-in for District 37 on the Democrat ballot. And so we just want to go ahead and talk about write-ins real quick. If you plan to cast a write-in vote, remember, the candidate must be a qualified write-in candidate. So be sure to fill in the oval and write the candidate's name in the designated area. But they do have to be a qualified write-in candidate.
So you can't just write like Mickey Mouse or, it's not going to count.
Yeah, exactly. It's not going to count. So again, they have to be a qualified write-in candidate. And if you have questions on the oval or where you should write, where specifically you should write in that write-in candidate, you can always ask the presiding judge or any of the election officials at the site.
Right. So another thing that we want to touch on today is primary election rules. I know we've gone over it several times, but I think it's important to highlight it to those who maybe just don't understand it yet, or you still haven't gone to vote, so you just want to make sure you're doing it right. So registered Democrats and Republicans, it's just business as usual. You vote as you normally do. Independent voters, which we call DTS, they get to go to the polling place and just choose their ballot. They get to choose the Republican or the Democrat ballot. It's as easy as that. You'll just get the ballot and get to vote like that. But if you are qualified minor party, such as Green or Libertarian, you do have to change your registration using same-day registration, right?
Yep.
So, and to use same-day registration, we can talk about that next.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about it. Same-day registration, again, another great tool that the state of New Mexico has to make it easier for voters, which we always appreciate. Same-day registration can also be used for address changes, name changes. And so you will need a few things. You're going to need a valid government-issued ID. Again, a valid government-issued ID and a proof of residence, something like a utility bill.
Right.
And there are a few reasons we need this. Obviously, we need to prove that you are a citizen and that you are who you say you are. That's why we need a valid government ID. But also, your proof of residence shows us where you're physically living. And that's important because it's going to determine which districts you're voting in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't think people realize how important it is to have your updated address, because it means, I mean, just because you're friends in one precinct doesn't mean you're in that precinct.
I know.
You have different ballots.
You know what's so interesting is like the precincts where half the street is in one precinct, the other half is the street is. Yeah.
Isn't that funny? Yeah.
And you'd be surprised how often it happens, but it does. But that's why we need to prove that you are who you say you are and that you live where you say you live. And so if you have any questions about same-day registration, you can always check out our website, dacelections.com. Call our office. We're happy to answer questions for you. And then, of course, I would do that before going to do same-day registration, just to make sure that you have all the documents you need with you when you're there to vote, so you don't have to be going back and forth.
Absolutely. So let's talk turnout. We've had a pretty great turnout so far. As of this episode being released, or
this is Wednesday.
Talked about, yes, today is Wednesday. 8,000 I should say, 621 ballots have been cast. That's 5.9 of registered voters in Doña Ana County.
5.9%. I mean, you know.
So 1.6% has been absentee, 4.3 has been early voting, 6,364 have been Democrat ballots, and 2,257 have been Republican ballots.
Yeah, and so again, we always want high turnout. That's what we ask for. And so thank you to if you've already voted, and please, I hope that you do plan on voting. But also, we do a really great job at sharing these numbers on our socials. And so a week out, which we started yesterday, is a week out. Every evening, we're going to be sharing turnout numbers for the day. And then in the mornings, we're also going to be sharing the breakdown of the different ballots per day. Yeah. Because the Secretary of State site also sends out a lot of really great information. And so we're going to be posting that over the next week so that voters have the information.
So that takes us to election results on Election Day.
Polls will close at 7 p.m.
Yep.
Reminder, if you're in line to vote by 7 p.m., stay in line. You'll still be allowed to vote after 7 as long as you're in line by 7 p.m. But I think it's important to talk about what voters should expect election night.
Right.
We do not start running any results until after 7 o'clock.
And I think that's a big assumption from people is, like polls have closed, we're going to start seeing results right away, but that's not exactly the case.
Yeah, that really isn't. You know, it's going to be 7:15, 7:30 before you start seeing any results. Yeah. And we will post the link on our social media so that you can follow the Secretary of State's website. Everyone is following that same website. Even we're following that website.
We're refreshing it too.
We're refreshing just like everyone else. And so we're all seeing the same website. But also, I do just want to touch base is that because of the write-in candidates, there will be a manual hand tallying process that's going to happen. And so, and again, this is a manual process. So 2 people from opposing parties are going to be looking at every ballot. Yeah. And we have, and they're going to be looking at every write-in. Yeah. And so we do have a lot of write-ins, especially the Republican ballot. There are 3 statewide write-ins.
So just we can't expect those results right away.
Yeah, we can't predict the future, Cynthia, but I do want to be realistic with voters and let them know that
that's more of a human process.
It is a human process, and it is unlikely that we're going to have all that done election night.
Right,
and very unlikely.
Well, I get a lot of questions from reporters asking, like, well, when will you know the result? I cannot
tell the future.
Yeah, unfortunately. I wish I could, though.
That would be a fun skill, huh? All right, electioneering. I think it's important for folks to remember that there's no electioneering within that 100-foot boundary. And we do mark the 100-foot boundary at every voting location. And so it's important for folks to know that items that have a candidate's name on it, not allowed, buttons, stickers, pins, shirts, hats, things like that, not allowed within that 100-foot area.
And if you, go into a polling location and realize you have a button, our election officials will kindly ask you to remove it, go put it back in your car, or, whatever the case. But these are election officials, so be nice to them. I know that
they're just following the law.
They're just following what they have to do.
Yeah, this is the law, and we've enforced the law. Also, they may ask you, maybe you're wearing a shirt with a candidate's name on it. They might just ask you, can you just go to the bathroom and turn your shirt inside out? So things like that. But again, this is the law, so no things like campaign signs, flyers, political clothing, buttons.
No one can be up at the front giving flyers for this candidate
flyers,
or anything
things
like
like
that. That's not allowed. So.
Exactly. They cannot be going up to people and asking people to vote for a certain candidate, following people into the bathroom, especially if the bathroom was within that 100-foot boundary.
Absolutely not.
So things like that. No electioneering within the 100-foot boundary.
And no voter intimidation, right? Which is, kind of scaring somebody into voting for a certain person or whatever.
Yes, correct. Not allowed. And so again, no electioneering within that 100 feet of a polling location. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask the presiding judge at that voting location. They're the boss of that site. And if you have any questions, you can also call our office or visit our website, dacelections.com. And we will also put out some more information about electioneering on our socials. And so you can be sure to check that out too.
So before you hit the polls, before you go and vote, you can also see what was going to be on your ballot. You can go to nmvote.org and that'll show you all of your voter information. It'll show you your voter history, which is really fun to look at. Yeah. So if you want to see what's going to be on your ballot, do your research beforehand. That's a great resource to go check out before you go and vote.
Yeah. And again, that sample ballot's very fun to look at. It's fun to look at your voting history. And so really easy to check out what's going to be on your ballot before you get there.
Absolutely. Again, that's nmvotes.org. I think that's it, right?
All righty. So I think that's it for this episode. We will see you next time. I want to thank Jacob, who's behind camera today. Thank you, Cynthia Diaz, our communications coordinator. My name is Caroline Zamora, your Chief Deputy County Clerk. Be sure to make your plan to go and vote. If you have any questions, visit our socials. We put out a lot of great information. Go to dacelections.com or nmvote.org. We'll see you next time.